Hi, this is Homebody Rundown, and today I'm going to show some items I prepped and made over a period of a few days. I usually have a few bigger cooking days in the week and then a couple days off. Also, I barely follow recipes, and when I do, I always modify just based on what we have. I'm sorry, this is not a recipe channel. If there is a reference recipe, I'll add it to the description, but just know that I'm not following it perfectly. Generally, my baking recipes are from Betty Crocker or Better Homes and Gardens. My versions are from the late 90s. I decided to make some peanut butter no-bake cookies. I wanted to use up this Costco store brand organic peanut butter. Middle child, who eats peanut butter pretty much every day, didn't like this one, and it came in a 2-pack. I have to say, this peanut butter was fantastic for a cookie recipe. I think it had a stronger peanut flavor, and it was amazing how I could just pour it out to measure. It's not in this video, but later I also made regular peanut butter cookies, and the flavor was great. I'll buy this again just for baking. I don't usually add cocoa to these, so they are just peanut butter no-bakes instead of chocolate peanut butter no-bakes. I buy these old-fashioned oats in bulk from Azure Standard. I kind of follow the Ina Garden recipe for these, but I usually add extra oats. This is the worst part. It's so much arm work. I usually have a kid do this, but they were all busy. The 2 kids who are still at home full time are both taking community college classes, which are pretty time consuming. A favor I always do for myself is to rinse out the scoop before it dries. The dishwasher cannot get it clean otherwise. Needed to eat up these pears, pairing that with lazy dinner, eggs and toast. Loads of food prep on this day. Last night I soaked white beans and black beans. I cook them in the Instant Pot, and now I'm putting in containers for storage. I like to make extra so the next time I need them, I can just pull them out of the freezer and I don't have to make all these dishes again. I'm freezing these in glass canning jars. Also sliced up a block of Colby Jack cheese from Costco. Same idea here. I shred more than we need and freeze it for later. Here are black beans that are ready for the freezer. I do label them even though you can see what they are through the jar. It's mostly for the date, so I use the older ones first. I'm putting the shredded cheese into Rubbermaid containers for the freezer. I label these too. This is the next day. I'm going to do a lot of baking today. I'm making muffins, baking powder biscuits, and chocolate chip cookies. I keep printed recipes in plastic sleeves in a binder and just tape what I'm making to the wall. Muffins and biscuits both use milk, so I mixed some up from powdered whole milk I ordered from Azure. I'll link the website. We don't use this for drinking. I just buy it for recipes, so I don't use up so much fresh milk. This is the biscuit dough. I always use parchment paper so things don't stick. Today I'm using an old air bake cookie sheet. I love these. We got these for our wedding 23 years ago. I usually put a little water or oil on the cookie sheet so the paper doesn't slide off, especially with the air bakes because they don't have sides. And I've had the paper and all the food slide right off into the bottom of the oven when I'm going to put the food in. It's quite a mess. I typically modify the recipe for drop biscuits, but today I'm going to roll them out. It's kind of boring, so I sped this up. I do not bother with cutting out circles. Nobody here cares. Probably helps that I never do it. They get square or misshapen biscuits. The drop biscuits are easier and they make fewer dishes, but the rolled dough makes it easier to open and put butter or jam on them, which the kids will probably do today because these will still be warm at lunchtime. This is a fairly new range, so still looks pretty clean. I do like the blue color. Anyway, sorry about the middle finger. I just always push the timer button like that. On this day, I do have another bowl, but I just rinse this out. I'm not making this stuff to give away. For the muffins, I'm using up the rest of the milk that I prepped. Then I can crack the egg into the same measuring cup. And can measure the oil in it as well. I'm also going to put in some ground flax seed. I usually buy this at Walmart, and I do store it in the refrigerator. These are blueberry muffins, so I'm adding in some frozen blueberries. I ordered these Swiss porcelain muffin pans a couple years ago on Amazon. I just checked and they're no longer available though. They're really heavy, but I like them because they are dishwasher safe and they seem to always bake evenly. Filling the muffin pans, each holds 6. During the school year, there's only 4 of us here, so this is a good amount. And these aren't giant muffins, just standard size. One thing I dislike about this new range is the timer. My old stove timer was push the button once, it adds 1 minute. This one, if you hold just a smidge too long, it auto jumps by 10-minute increments. Now on to cookie dough. I had to open a new shortening. I did get out a clean bowl for this. You don't want little bits of muffins in cookies. I do pretty much follow the recipe for these. I used to try to make them healthier with flaxseed or whole wheat flour, and well, the kids would still eat them because they did have chocolate chips. But honestly, healthy just ruined what makes a chocolate chip cookie so good. So I think all I do now is add a little less sugar than the original, I think, Better Homes and Gardens recipe. I don't notice that at all. Also, I don't make these as often. These are more of a treat. The most frequently made cookie around here is an oatmeal raisin chocolate chip cookie that I do add a whole lot of healthy to. But today is the good stuff. Biscuits and muffins are done. I like to use my small offset spatula to lift the muffins out if they're still hot. Now I'm just putting the cookie dough in Tupperware so it can go in the refrigerator. This is for 2 reasons. I can clean up a bit and then someone else will be around later to scoop these. I'm all done with the mixer for today, so wiping it down. There are a lot of places for flour to hide on this thing. I will rinse off this soapiness and then I will come back and dry it off. In particular, any metal parts, I think some of them could get rusty. The dishwasher is already running. On these days, I usually run it 2 or 3 times. I have some recurring arm pain, so I will just wait for room in the dishwasher rather than hand wash. I try to not buy any dishes that aren't dishwasher safe. I do have to hand wash the air bakes though because they don't fit, but we are not done with those yet. For dinner tonight, I'm making the kids some quesadillas with rice, black beans we made yesterday, corn we had left over, and cheese. One kid only likes mozzarella. I made this brown rice yesterday in the Instant Pot. I just didn't film it. I have 2 cooking and now I'm making a couple more to put in the freezer to make later without the hassle of getting out all the individual ingredients. Just a favor to my future self. My kids eat some variation of beans in tortillas every week. These are almost done. We eat them with sour cream or whole fat Greek yogurt. Hubby is done with work, so he's getting these cookies ready. One of these air bake trays is totally the one I used earlier, and I did not wash it. These were very good. New day, I'm going to roast this cauliflower I buy at Whole Foods. I add oil and seasonings. Also making some egg noodles for dinner. I just love to eat these like this. I make them almost every week. But tonight, I'm going to try adding some to the tuna noodle casserole I'm making. I don't think it'll be noticeable. I'm able to get organic egg noodles at Whole Foods, and I store them in this big container I buy from Sam's Club. Then I can just measure out what I need. I have no recipe for tuna noodle casserole. This one will be a little different because I'm going to add mushroom soup mix to the milk instead of bouillon. This has lots of sodium, so I'm not adding any other salt. I am going to make a creamy sauce, so adding some butter to my pan. This is a ceramic coated Lodge cast iron pan. It is heavy and you do have to hand wash it, but it's really nice to cook with and I can take it from the stovetop to the oven. Instead of all butter, I'm also adding some oil just to reduce the cholesterol a little bit. This is a mix I make up and keep on the counter. It's black pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder. I add these all the time, and this way I don't have to get out 3 containers. Also, I'm adding some roasted garlic powder and now some flour to make a roux. I found this silicone spatula spoon type thing at TJ Maxx and I love it. The brand is Tovolo, I think. I needed some utensils for this pan so it doesn't get scratched up. Now I'm adding the milk with soup mixture and we'll let this thicken. Much thicker now, so I'm adding some more milk. I just eyeball this stuff. I do still need to find a silicone whisk. I also added some water. The egg noodles are done. I won't use all of those in the casserole. I need to save some back. One of the kids would never dream of eating a casserole. I'm also adding some nutritional yeast. It has a kind of cheesy flavor. I've actually added cheese to this casserole before, but I don't think it needs it. Now I'm adding frozen peas and some of that roasted cauliflower. Also a little sour cream. Sometimes I add Greek yogurt. And of course tuna. I used 2 5-ounce cans. I like to have a crunchy topping on this, so I'm using some breadcrumbs. I have plain and panko from Whole Foods, and I really should have put these in the freezer. They are on the cusp of staleness. I'm hoping toasting will make a difference. And I used way more than usual to get them used up. I'm going to add some nutritional yeast, some Parmesan cheese, and seasonings to this. Instead of butter, I add oil. And then just mix it all up with a fork. Here's how it looks. Now I'll just cover the top. I also buy dried parsley in bulk from Azure. I usually just add it for some color. Baked it in the oven for a little bit and then turned on the broiler. Still trying to get used to this new oven. Almost burned it. And I don't know why, but it seems like there's so much more steam than with our old gas oven. But it looks pretty good and it tasted good, but I think I'll stick with bouillon instead of soup mix. So that's it for these few cooking days. It's nice to have a few days off after all this. Thanks for watching.